it sure has been talked about a lot by us, behind closed doors and things like that. It justifies lots of things. I can say that. There are sacrifices made by all of us on that roster, and effort, and you long hours, and just the list is long. So justifies quite a bit. Feels great. Feels good, and again, it's a goal we set, and when you accomplish those things in the world of athletics, you're doing something right.
You guys are the second-ranked team in the polls, but you've beaten the first-ranked team. So, I mean, and you on top of that, you beat the sixth-ranked team to advance to nationals.
Right.
So, I'm sure this team isn't lacking for confidence in that you can go out there and potentially win this thing again.
We're playing well. There are some parallels from last year's season to this year at this stage of the game. You have to be healthy, you have to be confident, and you have to be playing your best volleyball of the season at this point. It's that first week of the season comments that we make that the regular season, it matters, but it doesn't. Where we're standing the second weekend in November means everything. So yeah, it's been a fun ride to this point. But
you said at one point, actually probably at a couple points during this season, that this team would go more or less as far as Hannah could take you, would take you. Talk about her. She's an All-American nominee,
yeah.
Averaging about 9 assists a set. Just talk about her and where she's at in her level of play right now.
Well, she's a piece of the puzzle. She's one of many that have contributed to this point, and she's one of many that's going to continue to. We don't get this far. We're not doing what we're doing at this point without the kind of effort from her. But she's had help. This is a consummate team sport, and all those cylinders firing. She's an important one. And we have, without question, enjoyed watching her play to this point. She's not done. Teammates aren't done. They're meshing very, very, very well as of late. Last weekend, great example.
What have you and the sophomores been conveying to the freshmen now that you guys are officially in the national tournament? Things that you might have learned from the last go-round when you guys were vastly successful.
Tradition never graduates. You try to relay that over to the first-year kids, and they carry that with them into the off-season, and they carry it into August, and when we get rolling again next year. And same thing we did with this year's second-year players. And good leadership and captains from last year taught us that. If it continues, and it's just sort of it's a consistent. It's a wake up every day and do it right and think about it. You keep it in front of you. It's not something that you're afraid to talk about. It's something that you're proud of. This team is ready. We've been tested so much off the court, on the court. Nothing really phases these guys. It's just, yeah, it's going to be an interesting next couple of weeks here.
Thoughts on the break, being that you guys beat Rock Valley College to win the Region 4 tournament.
Yeah.
You have all this week, and then obviously the majority of next week. From a coaching perspective, do you like that kind of gap when you don't get that big a gap during the season to prepare, or do you think, man, I really wish we could have just started this thing up, following the Rock Valley win?
Yeah, and everybody's got a different philosophy or opinion or thought on it. Last year I hated it. We came off that region tournament, and it's 2 weeks to keep them focused. It's 2 weeks to just ourselves in the gym. They're sick of each other as it was before the region tournament rolled around, and then you got to find a way for 2 weeks before you head up to Rochester to make sure it's not dull, so to speak. This year I love it, and I don't mind saying that we're so beat up from that region tournament. We've got kids, and we still have 3-4 kids resting from this past weekend. We've got a flu bug that's rolled through that's kind of rearing its ugly head again. So, I'm all for all 8 teams competing at that tournament healthy. If we're truly going to be the top 8 in the country, you want the best product on the floor. You want them all on the floor and everybody healthy. You've got 2 weeks to get healthy. If you can't, maybe we're doing something wrong. But I like it this year, and it's without question it'll come in handy.
With this team, where does the Wolfpack hold an advantage, or maybe what does this team do that you think they might do better than the rest of the field, you know, or where would your team hold an edge if you had to pick a specific, you know, point, if you will?
I think we're the best defensive team in the country. I said that last year going into this tournament. We've got kids, you know, that have been there, done that scenario. We've been to Rochester already for a tournament this year. We know the venue. We've played Rochester. We've played another Region 13 team that's going to be up there too. There's not a lot of unknowns, you know, and with all these not just the second year kids, but our first year kids were in Rochester a couple months ago with us as well, competing on that same floor. And most of those kids, we had a chance to use them against Rochester, against Central Lakes, and against some of those teams we're going to see up at that tournament as well. So I think just the experience. Again, we'd be remiss if we didn't quote a movie, but I love the quote from The Matrix when he talks about, you know, there are those that know the path and those that walk the path. And you know, a significant group of our roster, a big chunk of them from last year, have walked that path. So it's not like last year. You know, I thought they handled themselves very well last year because there were some unknowns with it. They're just not this year, and I think that makes us dangerous.
Finally, what would it mean to you to win a second consecutive national title?
To me, just justifies sacrifices. It would be wonderful for these kids and for our roster. You know, there have been some. It's been a different season for us on and off the court. Talk about justification. I would be across the board. I think wonderful for all of us, just different levels with success at this tournament again. We don't like to talk about it too much. We have work to do and whatnot, but we have kids playing well. We have kids that have put their hearts and souls into making sure this year was, you know, we're going to go out if this is at the end of my career, that whole leave it on the floor approach. Some of these kids have gone above that. You know, so, you know, to win it again this year, you know, thoughts on that? Come on up to Rochester and watch. I think you'll see what I'm talking about.